Hey there, it's January and the sense of new beginnings come with it. I mentioned in my last video that I don't think that we should wait for a new year to make changes, but January is inevitably surrounded with fresh starts. After all, it's the first of 12 months, the beginning of a new year, and the start of a new lap around the sun. And yes, it marks the return of the little astronaut that you see there, Mooney and her companion Luna Bug. If you're new here, this is the fourth year in a row that I make my January theme about an adventurous spacewalker and her asteroid friend who got their names from my subscribers. But first things first, I am going to briefly show you how I planned the first monthly setup this year. At the end of December, I made this list of the spreads that I use to see if I need to discard or try new ones. And actually, I just added to the ones I'm currently using because so far they work really well. More specifically, I will be adding to my weekly spreads. So let's get started with the month. This year I decided to go back to my more elaborate 2-page covers, and with the theme that I chose, I could have used even more space. The thing is, the universe has always been such an inspiration to me. Like many, I am fascinated with the unknown and wonder about all that infinite space that we know nothing about. And here's a fun fact. Having grown up with an older brother, I was very much into boy stuff, like Star Wars. So much so that I truly believed that a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, Han Solo and Chewie actually existed. Anyway, that's how my love for space started, and I still dream of going out there someday just to wonder at our marvelous universe. Having said that, I get to live that adventure through Mooney. Back in 2021, she started her journey trying to start different businesses, like selling ice cream or donuts in space. In 2022, she came to realize that being out there was more about connecting with beings, so she even made a new friend, Marcy, who then went on a journey of his own. And actually she wonders if he will ever come back. Anyway, on 2023, Mooney got to discover more planets and galaxies, and this year, she decided to go back to basics and figure out how was it possible for her to be out here in space. And this takes me to some interesting facts that I made some research on. Space traveling is not even a century old. In the beginning of the 19th century, men could only dream and speculate about what was out there. And one of my favorite perspectives is from George Méliès, who put together a science fiction adventure film called A Trip to the Moon. You just gotta love all the vintage theatricals and the funny effects. If you want to watch it, just look it up on YouTube. It was not until after the Second World War that the USA and the Soviet Union reached for the stars to display their power, launching rockets, satellites, and even animals. In April 12, 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin was the first human ever to go out into space. He completed one orbit and his trip lasted 108 minutes. He became an international celebrity and was awarded many medals and titles, including Hero of the Soviet Union. Can you imagine the hype around that event that took place 63 years ago? Well, the space fever was just beginning. 8 years later, on July 20, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to land on the moon aboard the Apollo 11. When Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface, he famously said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Sure enough, all of mankind was watching the live broadcast. The next steps to explore outer space included sending probes to explore outer planets, starting in 1977. And it was during this decade and the 80s that space stations were successfully put on orbit, with the famously known International Space Station that brought mankind together in 1998, and it's still orbiting the globe. It really is not just about hanging out in space for the astronauts up there, Their primary purpose is to perform microgravity and space environment experiments, which are also another fascinating topic. You can follow them on Instagram to learn more about this and to see some fascinating shots of our beautiful planet. As of 2012, the hype has been around Mars. That year, the expedition of the Curiosity rover took place, and since then, mankind has been getting ready to actually go to Mars. Whether it's attainable or not, we'll have yet to see. But at least you might already know that we are able to board a commercial flight to space. Space tourism is a growing industry, and if you have $450,000 to spare, 5 minutes of weightlessness will mean that you achieved a lifetime dream and you will be able to say, I've been in space. A brief parenthesis to explain what I'm doing here. I chose 12 key words that represent the things that I want to be or achieve during the year, and I'm going to randomly choose one for every month to center my theme around it. This time, the paper that I pulled out says bloom. I looked up the meaning and wrote it down on the cover, adding more meaning to it. To me, to bloom comes down to being the best version of yourself in all senses, to reach all the potential that you know you have. And I particularly like that the meaning of the word mentions health. I have been struggling with it for the past couple of years, but I feel that now I have the power to be more disciplined and move forward in this area. I know that I can't have perfect health, but I have learned that I can do many things to improve it, and so it is time to bloom. Back to the theme, who knows what the future holds? In the area of space traveling, what 100 years ago seemed impossible has been achieved, and it shows how we truly were made to chase our dreams and not to give up in the process. That's why I love starting the year with this theme. Space travel is a fitting symbol of what we can achieve, and it's further motivation to keep making an effort and get up even when we fall. Because everything is possible, and there's no limits. Carl Sagan said, "Imagination will often carry us to worlds that never were, but without it, we go nowhere." I agree wholeheartedly, and in a previous video I talked about the importance of never losing our inner child, the one who wonders at life, who never stops asking questions and never stops learning. Because knowledge is what truly makes us rich in a way that has a lasting effect in our enjoyment of life. So never stop feeding your creativity, and I truly hope that my content helps you with that. I finally finished my cover, and not only did I love that washi tape boat, but I feel that I'm getting more and more into this craft paper. It gives my drawings an effortless vintage vibe that I feel that memories are made of. And that's what I wanted to achieve with this space history throwback. I am sure that all of my other themes in this journal will have that same style, and I am loving it. As I am drawing on the next spreads, I will talk about how my monthly spreads work. I stopped talking about it some time ago, but now that I have some new subscribers, I think it's a good idea to give a little update on how I make my bullet journal work for me. So I will start with the monthly log. This is one of the basic collections of the official bullet journal method. The monthly log is usually set up as a list of all the days of the month, but some also set it up as a calendar grid. The monthly log is a powerful visual aid in which the entire month is shown and where you will compile everything you have to do during it, so it also gives you an idea of the time that you have left to do it. Basically, this is where you start. The official method advises you to put it next to your mental inventory, where you pour out all your ideas, projects, and pendings, and then you can start organizing them on your daily log or here on the monthly log. You can also schedule tasks or events on it, and even at the end of the month, you can use it as a timeline because you can see everything that happened on that month at a glance. Next to the monthly log, I set up my social media panel as a calendar grid. I then color code my different posts, either on YouTube or on Instagram, and in that way I can organize them and make sure that I am not taking too much time to post again. This layout with the monthly log and the social media panels side by side might seem a little repetitive, but it helps me a lot to keep both things separate. While my log stays minimal, I can write more stuff on the grid, and I actually like how colorful it looks at the end of the month, because it indicates that I did a good job at posting. And now you see me coloring over the red that I used before because I just thought that the copper would look much better with the ambience. As much as I love coloring, I usually add the final touches with washi tape, which adds a charming finish to my pages. This time I mainly use this little set from Notebook Therapy called Constellations. I happen to own the journal of the same line and I just love the design. The color palette is perfect for this theme and for the craft paper too. I always feel that beautiful, high-quality washi tape is something worth investing in, because the options are endless and you get a lot of product to last you a lifetime. So yes, beware that there are some cheap washi tapes out there that are really disappointing, because they just won't stick to the pages or the print in them is really faulty. Last year, I got really used to having tabs every month, so this time I will still add them. I usually make 4 just to know where the main spreads and trackers are, and I leave the daily log on one unique section. And how beautiful does that washi tape look? It's actually the perfect vintage looking design of the planets, and I knew that I had to use it for this theme. I'm about to finish here with my tabs, and overall looking at the pages I felt that something was still missing, so I just added some extra stars around the spreads. You can never go wrong with stars. And so this is how they ended up looking. I really like the idea of adding quotes all around the spreads. I think it's a very special way to stay inspired. And well, in this case, I found the word astrophilia, which is rare love and obsession with planets, stars, and outer space. And while I don't think I'm obsessed, I do feel that I really love everything that is related with our universe. And like I said, to me, it just means how far we can go. So astrophilia is definitely a part of my life. And speaking of inspirational quotes, the next one has a deeper meaning for me. And it's not really what it seems at first. When we hear that only in the darkness can we see the light, we might think that we need to go through troubles to appreciate the good things in life. But for me, this quote has different meaning, and it is more about standing out. See, we live in a world where instant gratification has moved many to depend on technology or social media to feel satisfaction or find a fake happiness. To illustrate, I'm sure that you have entered a coffee shop or a restaurant and you see everyone, even entire families, where each member is just looking at their phone. But then you turn around and see this young girl reading an actual physical book. Or you see a couple of parents actually having an appealing conversation with their kids. And you don't only think, wow, that's rare, but you also want to be like them. That to me is light in the darkness, and we need more of that. Anyway, this spread is one that I just started using for the second half of last year, and I think that I have found my holy grail of health trackers. This one is simple, to the point, and perfect for my needs. So let me explain how it works. At the top, I set my mood and sleep tracker. I write the days of the months in a row, highlight Sundays, and to the left I write the times of the night during which I'm more likely to be sleeping. Then I color code the amount of hours that I sleep, and like that I keep track of this every day. I personally struggle with my sleeping time, so this helps me see how I'm doing and when do I have to improve. Next to the times, I add emoji faces to signal my mood, and every day I add a dot to the corresponding mood so that by the end of the month I can see a graphic of my ups and downs. To finish, I added trackers of my exercise and meal goals, and also a log of the symptoms that I experience. Seeing all the data of these 3 aspects has given me a lot of insight into how my system works, and I have improved my health a lot. And we have arrived to the first weekly spread. For this, I will be using a design that I have been loving, and these notebook therapy journaling stencils have become essentials in my little kit. One of the things that I really like doing these past months is to add the number of the week we are in Roman numerals. And this time around, they also go really well with the overall vintage vibe. The next new idea that I had was to assign a song to the week. I chose one that is related to my monthly word, in this case, bloom. And looking through my songs, Kissed from a Rose by Seal came up. It is a song that I had not heard in quite a while, and it reminds me of the time when I was growing up and getting into different types of music, which is a great memory to have in mind when my objective is to bloom. Because I think that our childhood definitely defines who we are, and we must build upon it to become who we want to be. Under the song, I set up my weekly tracker where I get a hold of how I spend my time and of 4 habits. I will talk more about this in a specialized video, because I feel that this is a great, simplified way to get better at developing healthy habits and not to get overwhelmed in the process. I usually add an overall view of the week for events and then a space to write down the mental inventory, which is composed of my most immediate tasks or pendings. Writing them as a checklist is a great way to avoid forgetting something. To finish the weekly plan, I am adding a new feature for my finances. It's a small tracker where I can be accountable for the spending that I make. According to experts, 2024 will be a difficult year financially speaking, so I must be a lot more mindful of my spending. This visual aid will surely keep my wallet in check, especially when it comes to unnecessary spending. And now all that is left is to set up the first week. The original bullet journal method encourages you to take one day at a time through the daily log instead of setting up the whole week at once. This is not only to take it easy, but also to avoid wasting space if you don't use your journal some of the days. But the little perfectionist in me not only likes to have the complete week ready to go. I have also found that setting it all up helps me in my overall planning, and I don't mind if I don't use a couple of days. It's the perfect opportunity to add a quote, a picture, or any random idea to use up the empty space. And actually, having lots of space around little details gives me a sense of freedom that leaves room for the imagination to take off. Speaking of imagination, I am almost done setting up a journal that I promised to give away after I reached 10,000 subscribers, which I did just last week. I have been wanting to do this for those who are here for the whole content, who watch all through the videos without skipping. And so if you are hearing this, stay tuned, because when it happens, I am not going to make a big announcement. It's going to be hidden somewhere in my videos. I think that it will be ready for June. In that way, the winner can start using it for the second half of the year or next year. I plan to leave all the months blank so that you can fill it up as you wish. Here's the final flip through of this adventure. I thoroughly enjoy drawing Mooney and Luna Bug in new settings and accompanied by quotes that will continue to inspire them throughout their infinite journey. They hope as much as I do that you enjoy this theme, and that the overall explanations gave you some new ideas to try in your journal. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Reading about how finding my channel was a pleasant surprise for you has put many smiles on my face. And like I always say, it keeps me motivated to create more content. And to those who have been here for longer, you know how much I appreciate the ongoing support and the encouraging comments. So as usual, thank you so much for watching.